Oh yes, this is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. Today's show is sponsored by Ringmaster, on a mission to launch B2B podcasts that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth. Ringmasterlive.com. Bam. All right, here we go. We have launched the boats from the dock. We're floating out into the lake. We're about to just crank open those gigantic engines to just shoot this thing to the moon. So I can't wait to introduce everyone here to my new favorite guest. He is a marketing strategist, a thought leader, entrepreneur, a writer, a speaker, certified Facebook ads expert. We may have to pick his brain on that. Yep. Creator of Launch Perfect, CEO of Stack Digital, Stirling Gardner. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. That was a heck of an introduction.
Heck yeah. You know what you could do? You clip that thing and you make it like your wake up alarm clock in the morning. Yeah?
That's a great idea.
Until the missus is like, don't wake me up in the morning.
She's like, you're not that great.
You're not that great. You're not that important. Back to bed. So good. Well, what I want to do here is start the show the way we start every show.
Yep.
And it's not even by asking a question. It's actually by passing you this thing. It's kind of heavy. Okay. Here we go. All right. You got it. You grab that. This is Thor's hammer. You got it? Okay. There you go. All right. Take Thor's hammer and smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Set the record straight once and for all.
I am going to call out in a huge way and I feel like this is just turning the corner. We're at the very beginning of this corner turn. It has forever been pounded into every marketer's head that you should only ever explain to somebody what they need, but not how they do it. So there's this whole thing, especially on webinars or any kind of quote unquote teaching scenario where they say, you need this because of this, you need this because of this, you need this because of this. They'll even tell you why you need it, but they will very rarely, if ever, tell you the how, because they want you to quote unquote purchase the how. Like that's been the conventional wisdom forever. And people will say, well, what? I don't understand. Like, of course you don't want to share the how, because then what else are they buying?
Right.
Well, I'm going to tell you what they're going to buy. They're going to buy closer access to you as the expert. Number one, they're going to buy all of the information that you've laid out for the what and the why, curated and aggregated so that it's extremely efficient for you to consume. And then that you're on, if you have calls with them or frequently asked questions, that you can just give them an answer bank. So I think that it's all part of the movement towards, and I could go on a rant about this, but
rant away, man. You got Thor's hammer. Just take that smash.
There's a big giant thing about everybody's got to be transparent. And I agree with that. There's a rabbit hole I could go down about what I call fake transparency, which is where people are only telling you what the good stuff is. That's probably for another episode, but I just feel like people want answers fast. And if you can provide that the how and all the answers they need, they're just not possibly 1 out of 100 of those people are going to actually be able to take what you taught very quickly and implement that. They want the additional help. They're paying for the additional help. So I know there's a guy named Alex Hormozy. I don't know if people listening have heard of him, but he literally, you can go to his website and get, I don't know how many, probably 40 different courses for free, because he just wants people to have the free information. It also is a massive dose of goodwill, so that when they do need help later, you're the go-to guy. Alex is the go-to guy. I'm the go-to guy for ads or for 5-day challenges, and you're the go-to guy for whatever the case may be. So, also we see it on YouTube every day, right? People are just putting out there the how. Influencers are teaching you how to do Instagram or TikTok or whatever the case may be. People will always buy from you because you've given all that value up front. People don't have time to be, I don't want to say jerked around, because I don't necessarily think it's always a bad intention of jerking someone around, but they want the answer and they want it fast. And if they feel value, then they're going to reach out to you. Full
Right.
stop.
It's like the whole idea of execution. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes people with startups, they're like, oh, I have a startup. What is it? Oh, sign this NDA first.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, dude, ideas are worth. I invented Uber, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but
Yeah.
a buddy of mine and I were like, hey, we should make an app on your phone that calls a taxi. It was like, yeah, that'd be cool. Then we were like, what should we call it? We got stuck on that question. What should we call it? I don't know. And so we just dropped it, right?
Yeah.
Years later, this Uber. Fantastic. But it was all about the execution. We don't
Yeah.
get credit. I'm not the founder of Uber, so it's like it took execution. So, you could tell me how to do it. Oh yeah, you go get some C# programming, do X, Y, and Z. It's like, man, am I gonna execute that?
Probably
Unlikely.
not. Yeah.
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a great way to weed out the people who are going to execute versus not. So the people that reach out, they're ready to execute, right? So why would you waste your time on a phone call if you're selling by phone, or they're not going to come into your webinar? Um, it's just a great sorter and sifter, and it gets everybody to where they want to go faster. You as the person coaching, and the people that are looking for that coaching. So it just eliminates a massive step.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. That makes total sense. Get rid of that friction. Let everything go faster. Can you do too much? How though? Can we do
I would say that
that or no?
uh in theory, I would say no. It's a great idea to share all the how. However, I would break it down into very simple chunks because people don't want to be fire hosed with information. They want very specific, short, digestible pieces of information that lead them to a logical conclusion of, oh crap, this guy knows what he's talking about. That made sense. I do a lot of I help people with 5-day challenges, and if you're listening and don't know what those are, basically put a whole bunch of people that are that have a common problem that you can solve into a temporary Facebook group. You go live over the course of 5 days, teaching them a little something each of the 5 days. Then you say, hey, if you want to work with me, this is what it looks like. Keep the cart open for 4 or 5 days, and then you close the cart. So I tell people that in that instance, even though you're giving one short digestible tutorial or how to on each day, you want them to have an aha. You want them to have that dopamine hit of like, oh God, yeah, of course. And a lot of times it can be so simple that I already knew that, but I hadn't heard it quite like that, and now it makes sense in the context of what I'm trying to do. So it's just
Yeah.
simplification, and specificity.
Right. Being very clear and not needing to. You don't need to vomit a bunch of stuff over them. You just give them some great nuggets, some tidbits, and let them digest that.
Yeah,
So
I call it the curse of the genius because we all want to share how much we know.
right.
And then we start oversharing. And this is what I tell people. I say, I'm sure you've heard this as a marketer as well. It's ingrained. If you have an ounce of ethics, I feel like if you haven't heard, you got to over deliver, you got to over deliver, you got to over deliver, which I completely believe in.
Yeah.
However, people equate over delivering with over teaching and oversharing. And that's the fastest way to get people to disengage. So save the over delivering for when they're in your program. When you're teaching them outside the program, just give them short, digestible, to use your word, gold nuggets. And they're like, oh, I trust this guy enough. He's taught me enough. Get in the program. And then they go, holy crap, I didn't expect this, and this. But if you try to unload all that before they get in, it's too overwhelming.
Got it. So there is a nice balance you need to find where, and again, get points of value to them signing. If you sign, the buffet is here. Like, hey, we'll get you a nice lunch, you get your breakfast, some eggs and some bacon. Okay, cool. But when you sign, now you get that banquet meal. So there is more to it. But hey, we're gonna feed. You're gonna be full. You're gonna be totally full. But there's more food coming down the line if you.
Yeah, give them the white glove service inside.
Yep.
With the dessert room and
the dessert room. Let's
and
go.
all that. But up front, it's just like, think of it like man, this is a really random example that just came to mind. But when different caterers are trying to sell you on their wedding food,
Yes, yes.
they will usually bring you 3 or 4 of their absolute best things. You don't need to eat everything that you're going to have on the menu to decide whether or not that's the best caterer for you.
Right.
That's a really good analogy that I'm going to use moving forward that I've never thought of until now. Give them some of your best stuff simply so that they can go, oh my God, I can't imagine what else this person can do.
Yes, right. Man, that was perfectly cooked steak. I can't wait,
And now I'm hungry.
Right. The desserts to die for. Not that you're going to be able to eat dessert at your own wedding, but
Right. Yeah.
maybe you can if you sneak it in there.
We had such a good time. We forgot to cut our cake, which is bananas when we think.
No
about it.
cutting. Did you have an MC? You have somebody kind of guiding it along?
No, we just did a casual thing. We rented a converted horse farm.
Oh,
It was
wow.
beautiful. So, and we wanted it to specifically be more of a hang because nobody wants to sit at that table where you don't know 4 of the other people at the table. So we're like, hey, let's come chill and hang and we'll have some food and stuff. And forgot the damn cake.
Wow. Well, that means there was plenty of it later, I guess.
Yes. We brought it home and promptly ate it all.
You didn't do the whole freeze it thing?
I think
We
we
heard of that?
Yeah. Did we freeze it? I can't remember. We're big cake people, so we probably didn't wait a year to eat that.
Yeah, for people listening, there's like a tradition, especially in other countries. Like, what are they talking about? There's this tradition where you save like a slice of it. Actually, it's the top. You save the cake topper, the small bit. You save it, you freeze it, and apparently cake will just hang out for a year if you freeze it. And then we tried it. We tried eating it the next year,
And
and it was okay.
it was frozen stale cake.
It was most of it was buttercream anyway, so it was that lasted. How do you even get on this? But you're sampling the wares, right? You're sampling
Yeah.
the vendor, what they've got. And I think what a lot of people do to go with your analogy is they're just giving a little bit of food, right? They're getting not even the best dishes they have. They're trying to win your wedding business. They're trying to win your catering deal by giving you a bunch of the not good stuff, like that, fruit or meat bar that you're going to skip because it's all these little things that, I don't need like 1,000 different cheeses. I'm going to go right for that prime rib or over there. So they kind of give you all this noise, too much of, or not enough of even, of just low quality stuff.
Well, or they just tell you, this is the reason that you need really good food.
Oh, right.
Because people are going to show up and they're going to expect it, and they're going to expect that you're going to invest in food. And think about it. They sat through your wedding. The least you could do is give them food, and they're going to order it. We have this, that, and the other thing, and it's going to be amazing. But if you haven't sampled the wares, you're never going to buy from that person.
No. Yeah. Food is one of those things where you got to try it, right?
Yeah.
Like you can trust people. I mean, we even order shoes so that we got to try things on,
Yeah.
So your customers need to try it. Yeah. Test drive a car. Same thing.
Yeah.
So, man, it's not about the why.
On that point, give them your best stuff. Like, just give them 3 to 4 to 5 nuggets of your absolute best stuff. Also, to your point, like, there's going to be people that might show up and just like, I'm just here for the free samples of the catering food. That's fine. There's always going to be that percentage of people in your audience, in your circle of prospects, but 97% of the people are there to learn something. And here's the thing that I would like to reframe for people.
Yeah.
The people that raise their hand and show up and say, I'm potentially interested in what you have to offer, want to work with you. You don't have to convince them or hard sell them. They're there. They want to be on your team. They're literally looking for the green flag of like, oh, this guy shared this. Oh, I like this guy. He's super likable. Oh, he's super knowledgeable. And he shared this. Like, they're there ready to purchase. They're waiting for you to give them a reason not to purchase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So give them what they came here for.
Yeah, it's a great point, right? Because there's so, even if you take it to the digital side, yeah, the equivalent of somebody who raises their hand and physically shows up in person.
Yeah.
We almost don't even have the digital equivalent in like a lead gen. It's not even showing up for a sales call. It's like literally showing up at your office for a
Yeah.
sales call. Like you can't get much more
Raising your
qualified
hand.
than that. Yeah.
Pick me, pick me. Yeah, I remember and I lived in LA. I know, get into this later. You said we would. I was an actor for a long time, and the huge paradigm focus shift for me. For those of you that don't know, you go on auditions. You very, very rarely meet the director or producer the first time. There's somebody called a casting director. They're the one that call you in. They kind of do the pre-screening. As a young actor, you're super nervous and you're going in there and, oh my God, I hope they like me. I hope they like me. And the thing that changed everything for me was a casting director that was like, we're on your team. We called you in because you looked like a possibility and we want you to do well. So remove the nervousness and recognize that we're on your team to take you to the next level, not to decide that you're terrible. And I was like, I mean, literally, I kind of scrambled my brain that, like,
Yeah.
this person sitting across from me wants to do well. I don't have to show off. Like, they're here to guide me. And I'm like, oh my God, take that into everything that you do, right? Somebody shows up,
Wow.
they want to work with you, they want to take the next steps with you. Make it easy.
Actually on your side.
They're on your side.
They will their job is to find somebody. Hopefully it's you.
You're
So they
helping
can
them
stop
out.
looking.
You're
Yeah.
helping them out. Yeah.
It reminds me, I think there was that interview with, gosh, all the names are just going to evade me, but you can help me out. Who is that Hateful Eight director?
Quentin Tarantino?
Django. Yeah. Right. So when they did the Inglorious Bastards, they were trying to find a Nazi general who could like read, who could speak in French, who could speak in German, and speak in something else. And I don't know if you've seen it, but there was this whole documentary around how they were looking for this guy, and Quentin even said he was about a week away from just not doing it. He was going to just sell the script and not do it because they couldn't find that one character until they met Christopher something.
Oh, Waltz. Yeah.
Waltz. Yeah. They saw him. There's like, aha, this is him. So I just imagine, to your story, like the casting director being like, oh, thank goodness we finally found. They're actually looking for the person, as opposed to, you're right. It's shifted the mindset to say, no, they want to actually find this thing.
They want to help you. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to help you. So good, man. Well, dude, I know we got some moves coming up. Are you getting back to events? Is marketing getting back to events? Are we doing this now? Is the COVID done? What are we doing? What are you seeing?
I know people are craving events. I know a handful of personal friends that I have completely by chance, 2 really good friends hosting a marketing retreat in Asheville right now. They don't even live in Asheville.
What?
I went to see them a couple days ago. So yeah, I think they're back. I think, you're not going to convince my wife, who's still, COVID paranoid, to go to a live event, but I'm dying for just to see somebody in person,
Right.
conversation that's not on Zoom.
Right.
So I feel like it's starting to crack wide open. I don't think it's near anything before the pandemic, but yeah, I'm starting to see a lot of. I got invited. I got an email right before I came onto the show. I opened up, and a buddy of mine's like, "Hey, come on out to my place in Seattle. We're doing this thing," and I'm like, I want to go. So yeah.
Did you ever get it? Did you ever get COVID?
Knock on wood, not yet, man.
Not yet.
No.
Well, I'll tell you what, all those vaccines did their job. I got it from an event a couple weeks ago, a month ago, probably. At least, I don't know, time flies, but not so bad. And I don't think it's because it just isn't bad. Maybe it was for me, but probably I did all the things, got all the shots and all that. And
me too.
It was fun. It was one day of being lazy on the couch, getting the side eye from the missus. What's going on here? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna lay here. And the other times it's like, let's get work done on the laptop. So I feel like it's almost like it's cycling through now, and even schools are getting back out of the masks and everything. So hopefully that means we can do that, right? It sounds like we got a marketing retreat in Asheville. So conferences are starting to happen. There's something about in-person events you really can't.
I love them, man. There's nothing better to me than a smaller event. Like these women, they rented a house, like a big house that sleeps like 15 or 16. I think she said we got 14 people. We're hanging out the night before. We're deep diving on Wednesday and today. And then this evening, they're going to go do something fun and go home. So all the ones that I've been on that are that small. I mean, I like the larger events too, but it's hard to get personal with people. I'm still really good friends with people that I went to these retreat type events 4 or 5 years ago. Like that bonding is more important a lot of times than what you're actually there to learn.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's that whole night celebration in the lounge after the last presentation's over, where you really connect with people, and then you see each other the next day. You're probably a little dehydrated, and you're like, "Yeah, you and me, man, we stuck it out till 2. Nobody else."
Yeah, and I started a business with one guy that I met at a retreat like that. So
how cool!
Because you get to know the people, not just what they do, but you get to know the people.
Right. Yeah, and oftentimes, sometimes the presentations are not always up to speed. If they are, great. If they're not, that's what the people are there for. I think that's the trouble with virtual events, is that it puts all the onus on the actual presentation. And if it's not, Simon Sinek standing up there with a British accent, then you better have something to present, because there's nothing else. There's no getting coffee and connecting with someone and, doing business in the hallway. It's just literally you staring at your same Zoom screen over and over again, wondering what's up.
Yep. Well, and the other to circle back, a lot of the times presentations, there's 2 problems. A lot of times they're given a very strict time limit, which is understandable. But the other thing is they're teaching you the what, not the how. So you're like, you could be watching something and it's like, they'll say it's, how to increase your following on Instagram. I don't know why I came up with that example. And then they just tell you like 8 reasons why you should, and to reach out to them if you want to learn more. You haven't even taught in the first place.
That is the worst.
They should say, if you want to learn. I mean, and I like the event because of the people, but I've gone to traffic and conversions, and I'm like, I've seen a volume of information. I haven't really learned anything that I can take home and execute on.
Right.
That's not a slam to traffic conversions. It's just it's how stuff's been done.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's all a part of it. How about books? Have you been slamming some marketing or business books or anything lately?
Man, I keep wanting to tell people about this. There's a new app called Headway.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Headway?
No.
Dude, every type of nonfiction book told in 5 minutes or less. Like, it's all the bullet points running down, and it's got a ton of stuff in it, man. I'm literally opening it. If you can't see me, it's everything from mastering the money game, the sleep solution, Think and Grow Rich, 13 things mentally strong people don't do. It's an endless library of really, really cool stuff, segmented by whatever topics that you want.
Headway. All right.
Well, wealth, success. Dude, I was so into it when I got it. I immediately reached out to them and said, do you guys have an affiliate thing? Because I'm going to be talking this up like crazy. I mean, every book you can imagine is on here. And what's also cool is if you're not in a space where you can have it playing and read to you, the text pops up, so you can just flip and read. You can I shouldn't say read a whole book, but you can digest the main points you need in a very short amount of time, because I know it's the standard structure of a book, but a lot of times you don't want to read the entire person's story of how they got there.
Right.
What are the guts of this thing?
Yeah, get to it, man. Right.
Dude, I was a Cliff Notes guy in high school anyway. I don't even know if Cliff Notes still exists, but I'm like, give me the meat.
Right. I was a watch the movie guy.
That's good. And praying the ending's the same when you have to do a book report on it.
Yeah, roll the dice. Like my favorite moment too was when I had to read Dr. Zhivago, And even
Oh
my
my
mom
God.
was like, yeah, let's go get the video. And we
I-
watched it together. It was what favorite moment for me where it's like I'm like breaking the law with the school and my mom's helping me do it, you know? It was a
Dude,
good movie.
this was, I think I was a freshman in high school, and we were supposed to do a book report on the book of our choice. It was either spring break or Christmas, and we had to come back, and it was like the first book report
Okay.
you'd ever have to stand at the front of the class. People are like freaking out and talking in homeroom before class. They're like, "You ready for the book report?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, no, thanks
Oh
for the
no.
time." So I picked a book that wasn't finished that I started writing in a creative writing class, and passed that thing off as the book that I had read, and stood up and gave an oral report on this book that wasn't yet finished that I've scribbled on index cards. And then thankfully I have a really, really good memory because I did it once the first time. And she goes, that wasn't bad. Would you be willing to try it again without the note cards? And I was like, sure. I just went through it again and I got a B plus or something. And my friends were really upset because I didn't end up having to read a big
And
book.
it was your book that you had read or that you'd been writing?
I was starting to write, and it was a really, really simple thing called this is so ludicrous. The Christmas Tree by J.H. Montgomery, and Montgomery was the name of our cat, my family cat. So I just made up this. I knew how the story started because I started to read it, but I just scribbled on the index card real fast. This is how I see this book unfolding. Yeah, and then my friends spent their Christmas reading an entire book and having to report on it and not getting as good a grade. So,
Okay, it was The Christmas Tree. What was the name of the author again?
J.H. Montgomery.
J.H. Montgomery. That's too well done. Like that sounds like an author.
Yeah,
Montgomery.
I don't even know where I came up with. Maybe T.S. Eliot, and I was like, oh, J.H. Montgomery. Yeah, high school hack right there.
Right? Why read the book when you can report on your own?
When you can write it and make up on the spot.
It kind of gives me an idea of a podcast, like book reviews, but none of the books exist.
Yeah, well, that book sounds like it would be blah blah blah.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna look that up on Amazon right now. Yep. Nope. Not gonna find that one.
No affiliate links.
Man. So yeah, I will definitely check out that app. You know, last sort of question I had for you in this particular part was about the future. Like, what kind of changes do you see happening, macro or micro, coming around the bend that you're excited about? You want to kind of tell us the future of what you're seeing, maybe changes in consumer behavior or the way marketing's going?
Man, I will share with you some information that I just got from a guy named Philip Stutz. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
It's not another J.H. Montgomery, is this?
No, that's hilarious. J.H. Stutz. No, real guy. He's been in political marketing. He's at a marketing agency for politicians since 2000, I think he said.
Wow.
And over the course of that time, he partnered with the largest data collection company in the country because obviously they want to see what trends are in consumer behavior.
Totally.
And then he had a guy come to him 6 years ago who owned a brick and mortar store, I don't know what kind, and said, hey, do you think you could apply those principles to my brick and mortar? So then he got fascinated with that. Anyway, man, they just downloaded and sorted through all the data from basically since the pandemic started through April of this year. And I'll talk about this for a while because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
He says right now, if you're listening, it's May 2022. He calls people, there's 3 buckets of consumers. There's the overwhelmed consumer. There is the activist consumer. And then there is the influenced consumer. The largest group is the overwhelmed. And their number one activity and behavior is what he classified as escapism. Now, escapism could mean whatever it means for you as a person. So he's saying it's, yes, of course, the easy go-to is like, let me binge watch Netflix. So the escapism, they're overwhelmed by everything that's happening in the world right now because it's not real great. And so they will bury their head into some sort of activity or behavior. The top 3 activities are entertainment, booze. Interestingly, they're the highest purchasers of booze, um, entertainment, sports, and home improvement, interestingly. So it's just like they're going to take all the extra energy that they have and put it over there so that they don't have to think about the craziness in the world. Um, and it could be by yourself, with your spouse, with your family, doesn't matter.
Sure.
It's however you escape. Super interesting. They also noticed for the first time in that they've been recording this data, that because of the economy right now, people are leaving. The brand loyalty is less and less, particularly the more luxury brands. So the people that were shopping luxury brands are now leaving, even if they've only ever purchased that before. They're leaving for less expensive versions of that. And how that translates, if you're like a coach or have like a digital marketing program, he said that what they're doing, this is what I'm helping my clients with, is it's not, now you're not a luxury brand per se, but you have to put out content that lets people know what's distinct about you, what's different about you. So his super simple example was, I'm a marketer, but there aren't a lot of political marketers. So people just, their ears just perk up on that. Like, I spent 20 years as a writer, producer in Hollywood, storyteller. So like, that's super unique. I do marketing and ads and stuff like that. So people are like, oh, that's an interesting hook. Let me find out more about that guy. So, and it doesn't have to be as quote unquote as exotic as being in Hollywood or in politics or whatever. It's just like whatever your thing is, putting that at the forefront before you're even trying to sell anything. It's just like, hey, this is who I am. Another thing for the activist consumer, the number one thing, let me talk about messaging for the overwhelmed consumer. Your messaging should all be about saving time. Hey, if you get this service or this product, it's going to save you time. The implication is if they save time, they'll have more time to escape.
More time to escape. Yeah.
More escape time. The activist consumer wants to make sure that your values align with their values. So it's not even about, I don't even know what I was going to say with that sentence, but
like the quality of it. It's not even about the price or the quality or.
Well, I was going to say it's less, you're not even talking to them about sales or selling them anything. You're just saying, hey, this is what I stand for and why I feel it's important that the people that I work with also stand for this. So it's about value alignment and calling out who you want to work with so they can identify themselves as wanting to work with you. And then the third bucket are influenced consumers who literally need to hear from other people that they like or aspire to be. So it's literally what you think of when influencer. So now it doesn't have to be the quote unquote Instagram model, male or female. It just could be Brene Brown says this, this, and this, and I really like Brene Brown, or whoever, basketball player.
Sure.
So I just find all that messaging really interesting. So one thing I'm working on with my clients on Facebook is, we're still running their campaigns where they're trying to get leads or sales, but we're doing campaigns above that where I'm having them do short 60-second videos talking about their values, talking about what makes them distinct, talking about how what they can do saves time, talking about, like I'm going to New Hampshire for a week. And so super interesting. It's subtle, but it makes sense. He was saying, people like, hey, I'm in New Hampshire with my family, and like all these like, curated good time photos.
Yeah.
People don't want to see that crap unless behind it is, I'm taking a week off to recharge so that I can decompress. So when I come back to my clients, I can jump in and hit the ground running and serve them at a higher level. So how all of that benefits their prospects or their clients. Otherwise, they're just poser shots, right? Look at this.
Totally.
Look at this cool stuff I'm doing, as opposed to I'm doing this for a reason and here's why.
Right.
Which I think is really cool.
Okay, now whose report is this again? Because it's funny. On my notes, I wrote Philip Montgomery.
I want to say it's spelled Stutts, Stutz or Stutz. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But if you Google him, you can find this report. It's really fascinating. I mean, if you're a marketing nerd, it's fascinating. My wife would be bored to tears, but
So this just kind of brings up the idea of getting into the mind of the buyer deeper
yeah,
and deeper. I think sometimes we're so shallow with that, where we just are just blasting the same message, the same people, like they're all the same. And then we talk about all the what's and the whys from earlier.
yeah.
It's just so one dimensional, We're not.
Well, if you feel like people go, and I understand it, right? I want the hot leads. I want the people that are going to convert right now. I
Yeah.
want the sales right now. Like, where are the sales? How long is it going to take me to get the sales? And it's like, yeah, of course you should try to focus on that and maximize that. But there's so much more outside of that that you could be doing that shows you as a real person, shows your values, show people how you care about them. Like that's the intangible stuff that I would say is even like more top of the funnel than just going for the kill right away.
Right. Right. Totally, man. Dig this. Well, my next question, future neighbor, is who
Yeah.
are you? Who are you? Take me back in time. Little Stirling days. Did you know you're going to be an entrepreneur, a marketer, geeking out on all this, consumer information and on a podcast and all these? Tell me, what was it like growing up, you?
Man, I am the product of a psychologist and a minister. And then my dad later became a psychologist. So I was always surrounded by the psychology of things. So for two reasons, I was trying to figure out like, why am I, by the way, that'll really mess a human up to be raised by those two types of folks. So I had all kinds of weird beliefs and stuff I had to unravel. And I was into personal development at a very early age, not because I knew personal development was good for me, but just trying to unravel all these
Just fixing everything you picked up on the way. Yeah.
Fix your belief systems and everything. I was a math nerd. I remember being really, really good at math at an early age. My second grade teacher would put me in the hall with the workbooks from the higher levels, and I'd finish them in hours, and she'd be like, "What's going on?" Just numbers come really easy. And then I was a sports nerd, so I just like sports, and I was lucky I didn't have to study that much and got decent grades. And then I went to college thinking I was going to go to business school at the University of Richmond, which has a really good business school, but we had to take accounting. And I thought, I aced calculus 4 in high school. I'll ace accounting in day one.
Yikes.
I've never been more lost in any class in my life.
It was calculus. I know, no, accounting class.
Accounting, dude. Accounting has very little to do with numbers. It's all kinds of theory and
geez,
that I was just not grabbing. So I didn't go to business school. I ended up majoring in economics outside business school, in speech communication and theater. And then I was doing a bunch of shows. And I went to LA as an actor, quickly got into writing, directing, producing, and really, really thought that was my life's calling. And I was there for 20 years, slinging it out. They were going to make a television show about my life. Like I've written a memoir that hadn't been published yet.
Really?
Yeah, man. And that I was just felt like I was in a pressure cooker in LA all the time. Like my nervous system was so shot. I decided I wanted to leave there at the same time this book got bought. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I hung out for a couple of years to see if my life would be a TV show. And every cliche in the world, I was repped by the head of creative artist agency and going to all these parties. Like literally, I thought my dreams were coming true.
Wow.
And the entire time it's happening, I'm sitting across from people. I'm not even paying attention to what they're saying because the dialogue in my head is, oh my God, I hate this so much. I don't even have words. Like it's one of those cliche movies where like everything happens and it's nothing that you wanted.
Really?
Like, yeah, man.
How so? Like how was it so good but yet not?
Well,
you wanted it to be.
Well, one thing is I always thought I wanted to be amongst and associating with these huge decision makers and heads of studios and all that. And I'm like, I don't really want to hang out with them as human beings. Like the prestige in my head, like I'll have made it. I'll be somebody if I'm like associating in this circle and I'm up there and I'm like, I can't even necessarily say that they were quote unquote bad people. They certainly weren't people that I could sit down in 5 minutes and like get to the deep stuff. Like, I just want a guy or a woman, and like I just want to like let's get into the real stuff fast. I don't need the super. I don't. My patience for the superficial is very thin.
Yeah.
Um.
I hear it's like a real thing. It's like thick out in LA and
Oh yeah, it's if you haven't experienced it, it's very hard to describe the level of agenda that everyone has 24/7. So my conversation with you right now, if we were in the entertainment business, would be, yes, we're exchanging these pleasantries and these conversations, but we are both simultaneously, covertly trying to get the other person to share what they're working on. Not to say that I wouldn't care completely, but in my back of my head, I'm going, well, I wonder if there's a way that I could work myself in here. And you're thinking to yourself, I wonder if there's a way you could work yours. So you're constantly trying to elicit what people are doing, hope they're telling you the truth, because I've gotten into a lot of situations and strung along by somebody saying, this is happening, this is happening. You can't check any of that stuff out. They're just bullshitting. And now you've wasted years with somebody who's just full of shit.
yeah.
And it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And you don't even realize, even if you're a good, down to earth, fairly grounded person, you don't realize how much the environment affects you. And I didn't know, I consider myself to be really non-Hollywoody even when I was there.
Yeah.
But when I finally got out, like it just took some time to unwind. Like I would have these thoughts that were so not cool, like subtly materialistic. Oh my God, I can't believe this person's doing that or that. And I literally had to say to myself, dude, that's 1000% not cool. I can't even believe you had that thought. It'd become this weird knee-jerk thought. And so that probably took me a year to like mentally detox from the ways of being and thinking in LA, even though I didn't consider myself to be that much. So that was just the epitome of it, was going to all these meetings and parties. And I was also just burned out. I'd been there 20 years and I knew it was a long shot. Like stuff gets purchased. People don't know this, but like my book and 10 other books are being purchased all the time. There's a huge volume of properties that get purchased where they say, we want to turn this into something. Getting there is a massive accomplishment. However, the number of things out of that pile that don't get made are large. And then the number of things that get made but don't ever make it into the theater or on the television is even larger. So it's just like, it's a long shot. And I knew it, but I bided my time just in case it did happen. And then it didn't. And I think I drove home 2 weeks later and I Googled best places to live in the United States, because I'm like, I'm not staying here if this isn't happening. And then I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I remember my best friend and I, we were 17. We went and bought cans of Off, the insect repellent.
Yeah.
And we lived out in Maryland and we drove to DC on the lawn where they do the fireworks every year.
Yep.
And we brought a little cardboard thing and said, we'll spray you with Off for 25 cents.
Oh, for 25, that's a deal, man. I'd give you $1 to keep the change, kid.
Yeah, but I think everyone was it's just a weird thing. So we just came back to the store. You know, we returned our 8 cans of Off because I think we sprayed down one person plus ourselves.
They didn't want it?
No, man.
Wasn't buggy enough that night.
I don't even remember if
buggy
it was
night.
buggy. But like that, I always think of like, oh, I would do this differently. I wonder why they don't do that at this store or whatever. And then social media came, and I was a social media freak. I loved, 12 years ago when Facebook was out or whatever, I was like, this is amazing. Of course, it's a whole different ball game now. I just got consumed by social media. And when I left LA, and by the way, I also had a perverse fascination. I remember being online and seeing my first ad come up and clicking on it, and literally my brain cells trying to make new connections. Like, wait, you can buy stuff through the computer? This is what?
It doesn't date you at all.
Yeah, exactly. But just the fascination of like, oh, let me see what this is. This seems easy. Laugh, insert evil laugh.
Well, it kind of was at the beginning, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Click here.
Yeah, click here, buy this. And then when I left LA, I was like, I want to do something completely different. Let me see if I can figure out how to monetize social media. Then I learned Facebook ads, applied for the certification program, and I was one of 30 people in the world at that point to get in.
Crazy.
I learned that, and then naively had no idea how to price my services. So I was pricing on performance basis,
Oh, wow.
which is cool. But you realize, hey, you could have really good ads, but somebody's funnel or sales process might be really jacked
Really
up.
jacked up, and it screws up everything. Yep.
Well, that screws me up. So then I didn't set out. By default, I became a funnel and sales expert because I wanted to make make the process profitable. And then I just love it. To me, it's people might not understand this, but I was really good in calculus because that's a three-dimensional, like you have to sort of figure things out in 3D. And I see marketing funnels in the exact same way. Like I just see this, like this plus this divided by that equals that. And I love tweaking the numbers in between to try to get the maximum output.
Yeah.
So to me, it was sort of a form of calculus. And I still do some service-based stuff. And then I was like, wait a minute, I've made a lot of people over $1 million. So let's put together your own thing and do the same. So I'm building out offers right now for myself, and
Hell yeah.
that's how I got here.
Good stuff, man. No, what a cool journey. And you're almost got the hooks in, in LA. And any favorite show or project you were on that really stuck out?
The most fun thing, and probably people will probably all understand this. The most fun thing that didn't even make it anywhere because we were all very young starting out. We were doing my first feature film on a shoestring budget. We were sleeping on the floor together.
Yeah.
We were being paid in hamburgers.
Yeah.
And everybody was still hungry and had the dream. And we were working 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week just to get this thing done. That experience. And then we got into slam dances runs at the same time as Sundance, kind of the alternative version of Sundance, because this film was a modern day black and white film noir. It was really cool. And then going with the same group of guys, don't even have two nickels to rub together, and sharing a room at Slam Dance and seeing your movie screened in front of strangers for the first time. It's just a really awesome experience. And I'm still friends with all those guys.
And you've been on a bunch of shows too, right? You've been on Walking Dead. I
don't really pursue it anymore, but there's a little tiny agency here in Asheville, and they'll call me on occasion. Hey, this thing might be good for you. So I went and then whatever the spin. I don't even watch the Walking Dead shows, but whatever the spin was, I don't know. I'm not a zombie guy. I'm like, you can outrun the zombie, man. This doesn't make any sense. It shot like 4 hours away in Richmond, Virginia, so I could just drive up there. I went to my alma mater, walked around campus I hadn't been to in forever. Got to shoot. It was a blast, and then come home, and like that for me was like a perfect little trip. I don't want to spend my time pursuing it. I just want something fun and easy like that.
It's a wrap. Quick little in out. Don't have to live in the society.
Well, the fun thing too is that I shouldn't say anything. Most things to shoot outside of LA is such a more pleasant experience, because when they hire all the locals, they're so grateful and fired up to be working on like a quote unquote real show. Right. So the energy is of gratitude and fun. In LA, it is an unbearable grind. It's the same. Hey, we're shooting this episode of the show. It's just like you show up, rush. Nobody gives a shit who you are. Just do your job, blah, blah, blah. And you go home, and it's like, you just kind of crap out a job, really. Mm-hmm. No, and it's also hierarchical. So when you break for lunch, meals and stuff, the producers sit here, the extras are like in the corner. Nobody cares about them. The actors
with bag lunches in the corner. Yeah.
like just not even acknowledged really. And then I went here and it was like I was sitting next to the director on one side, the art director here, and like it was just that it's way
That's
more
cool.
communal and family, and it's just a refreshing vibe.
Cool vibe, man. Well, I have a hypothetical question for you.
Yeah.
And you, more than almost anyone else who's been on this show, uh, has more of a chance of making this not hypothetical. So
Wow.
here it is. I may or may not have a time machine up here in Nashville, New Hampshire. It's in the backyard, covered in a tarp. So let's say you come over, you come visit, we get some beer, some lobster, whatever, and you get to use this time machine right now. But it's a particular time machine because it takes you back in time to just a few days after that undergrad degree, the theater and communications and all those things. You get to meet that version of you right before you've gone out to LA and done all the things. A couple days after graduation, in case you're having a good time. What kind of things do you tell yourself?
Hmm. Um, I'm gonna get real personal, man.
Yeah, man.
Don't be afraid of men that are older than you, and find a mentor. I was very scared of my dad. He didn't quote unquote teach me much. So
Gotcha.
I felt like I got shit out into the world with no real world skills at all. And I was terrified. So my school of hard knocks was very hard for very long. And part of it was because I just didn't trust anybody. And there were a lot of people that tried to reach out and take me under their wing. And I was just, um, so not everybody's the same. Don't be afraid to have a mentor. Um, God, that's the biggest thing. I just felt like I was thrown into the deep end of Los Angeles, which is not a place you want to be thrown into.
No, nothing like idea of having a guide, a Yoda, an
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, just to be able to tell
Anybody.
you they've already done something. Maybe don't repeat every mistake,
Yes.
scratch.
Wow. That would have changed the course of my life for sure. And then man, I'm circling back to that book question, but the book that really changed my life. Now I had to go through the LA experience to recognize this.
Okay.
And that is, I think, well, I'm going to speak for myself, but I feel like this applies to a lot of people. The thing that you think you are called to do may not be a calling. It may be a push from your ego. There's a huge difference between being pulled from something greater than you. And it's very easy to confuse those two things. I feel like I spent 20 years in that world of storytelling, story making, acting, to quote unquote try to be somebody, to try to prove to other people that I could be somebody, which is
100%.
a really, really strong, it's a really rough road to go down. And so the book that changed everything for me, because I had a massive identity meltdown when I left LA, because your entire life and everything that everything that you're doing in LA is basically what becomes your identity and what people associate you with.
Gotcha.
You completely pull away from that. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do. There's a book, I think his name's Seth Godin, called So Good They Can't Ignore You, which I had never heard the quote, but it's actually from my favorite comedian of all time, Steve Martin. When he was asked on an interview, if you could tell anything to a young aspiring comedian, what would it be? And he said, be so good they can't ignore you.
Yeah.
First off, genius quote, genius theory. But then the author of this book goes deep into how people say, follow your bliss, the money will come, follow your passion. And he completely flips that on his head and says, pick something, get really good at it. When you get good at it, you're going to get confidence. When you get confidence, you're going to want to even be better at that thing. That confidence and that dopamine is way stronger than any quote unquote kind of passion that you think you could put yourself into.
Wow.
And he says that passion will follow with the confidence. And that's exactly what freaking happened. I was like, I'm just going to go learn ads better than anybody that I know. And it turned into having this full agency and creating my own offers, and I love it. So it's like,
Man.
I didn't know 7 years ago, I didn't know if this, I was going to be talking about this stuff. So
Man.
I love that
So
because
good. They can't ignore you.
it's so smart, right?
And the
So
passion will
simple.
follow, right? From that expertise and that confidence you get
Yeah.
from knowing probably more than anyone else in the room about that particular thing. Like,
About
hey, I
that thing.
know this. I
Yeah.
know this really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
really cool. I have that book, on my shelf, and I just like, all I have to think of is that's that one thing. Because following my bliss, which I thought was, you know,
Acting.
getting well known, it was less. I mean, I loved acting, but it was real. I mean, the end game was have people clap for you.
Mm.
And it's like it's coming from such a wounded place. And I'd say that, like, I'll share this. I wish I could credit whoever thought of this, but it's so apropos. Um, that there's a baby lion, a mama lion who has 4 cubs. She licks the first one, they go off into the world. She licks the second one, they go off into the world. She licks the third one, they go off into the world. She dies, and the 4th cub moves to LA.
Wow.
It's a really, really big city full of unlicked cubs trying to find their way through the world.
Wow.
So there's a lot of there's good people there for sure. So I'm not, but it is a lot of wounded people re-wounding each other intentionally and unintentionally. So it's an intense environment. It's an
Jeez.
intense environment.
And I was into theater, but I wonder if I got licked a little, and then there's just, but I could relate when, that idea of the applause, and this is other people telling me something. I
Yeah.
want them to tell me that I'm enough, or I'm, I am good, right? And
worthy.
so
Yeah.
worthy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Worthy of love, right? You
Yeah.
want other people to be able to tell you that, maybe than telling you yourself. But yeah, I could see that there's a whole next level of like, I'm going to go to LA because the amount that I need to hear, the applause I need to hear, I can't get in this local theater company. I need to.
Well, and then also think about this, that incredible need to feel worthy, and then getting paid exorbitant amounts of money to get the external validation that you're worth. Like the intertwining of the money on top of that is like a whole nother level of screwing up your brain. Now, I also want to say that, like, there are tons of exceptions. Like, there are plenty of people that like want to be an actor and they got plenty of love growing up, or they want to be this or that. Like, there are people that are genuinely there. I will just say that I think a majority of people move into that world trying to heal some wound. So that's how people can get taken advantage of. How do you get taken advantage of like that? Well, because you didn't get anything that you needed at home. That's how.
Right.
It's not that people aren't stupid. They're just desperate.
Right.
Stuff like that. So I got really very, very successful friends that you would know who are not broken human beings. They just got really, really good at screenwriting or producing or directing. And even if think about this, even if you're stable, grounded, and good at what you do, there's a whole cast and crew of people where the majority of them are broken. So it's just like, wow, it's really, really hard to navigate those ships out there.
And you're all around each other, influencing each other.
Yeah, man.
You don't have a lot of people saying, no, let's lift ourselves out of this. See, everyone's just sort of in it.
Yeah, they don't know they're in it. Nobody knows they're in it at the time. Well, very few people. And everybody's just doing the best they can.
Yeah. Jeez, man. Well, hey, where can people connect with you if they want to reach out, connect with you professionally? They want to work with your company, Stack Digital. What are the different social platforms, URLs, all that?
Yep. My name's spelled funky. I assume it'll be in show notes or something somewhere. But
oh yeah,
STIRLING My last name's Gardner, Gardner. I actually invite people to friend me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. And then my agency website is Stacked, which is a funky spelling, STACK, the letter T, digital.com. And you can contact me there if you want to speak directly. And another, because we got kind of naturally went there, but maybe I'll come back on another time and I'll talk about one of my missions is now creating business and marketing coaching for people that struggle with overwhelm, anxiety, depression, and trauma, because I feel like that's a very overlooked. You can go get help for that personally, or you can go get business advice, but I don't think that intersection exists the way that I wanted to.
Yeah. And like this makes a lot of sense because not to jump in here real quick, but
go for it.
It totally resonates because I think even like going to like a Tony Robbins event, it was a business event. And even still, it was like, look, we can teach you all the stuff about finance and marketing and click-through rates. But if you don't necessarily address whatever things you got going on inside you're going to lead your entire company in that direction, potentially off a cliff. So like you need to manage the owner and the marketer. You need to really think about yourself, not just your campaign.
Yeah, man. I want people to say, and I'm creating the space because I need the space.
Yeah.
I want people to have a safe place to come and not only ask business and marketing questions, but to say, man, I had to shut my computer for the last 2 days because I got triggered. I don't even know what triggered me. I went into a depression. I figured it out. I processed, and now I'm back, and I lost 2 days of work and not have that shame and guilt, because everybody has a real bad day. Sometimes you have a bad week or whatever it is, and have to have open dialogue and discourse around that, and people to go, I feel you, man. I feel you.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Can I help? What can I do to help you get back on track, or whatever the case might be? And having programs that aren't so crazy time sensitive, because I think a lot of people, it's such a hustle mentality, and let's get this thing launched in 2 weeks. And you're like, all right, it sounds good, but the pressure, it's just, you're going to implode at some point, and you need to be able to talk freely about that. And that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to set up right now too.
Love that idea, man. I once had a coach where I would routinely go off the rails or something, and we'd meet every Monday. And it's like, well, you could have been off the rails for 3 weeks, but instead we're going to reset today. And so we just shorten the amount of time in between going off the rails and resetting. Okay, let's get back after it. All right. Yeah, I was off my plan last week, but now I'm back,
It just needs to be normalized and accepted that you can go off the rails. I feel like people don't allow themselves or criticize themselves so much for going off the rails. And it's like, dude, we're human beings here. Everybody's a human being trying to make a business, grow their business. Like, let's be human beings together first, and then we'll grow our businesses collectively.
Yeah. What's that phrase where like if we talk to somebody else the way we talk to ourselves, we get punched in the face?
Oh God. I think about that a lot. I'm like, I would never say that, ever say that to any human being that I know. The harshness that comes through your mouth, you're like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. It's crazy.
We're human, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Marketers, business owners,
Humans, man.
Executives, humans.
The business can go away. Your humanness can never go away.
That's right.
So let's deal with both.
Love that. Well, we're going to link to everything and all the things.
All right, brother.
Show notes. And I just want to thank you for coming on here and just sharing like wisdom, like actual real solid wisdom that we can build the tech on. We can build the campaigns on with that core knowledge, almost really first principles, almost just that knowledge that really is the foundation for all the learning you could add on top. I really just appreciate you coming on here, dude. I really enjoyed it.
I did too. I appreciate you having me, man.
Well, for those people listening, if you learned something, and I freaking know you did, because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here. I run out of space. I'm in the margins. Then share this episode with someone else. That's how you're a thought leader. Share with 1 person, 9 people, 3,004. Share with everybody. And somebody might need to hear this, this particular episode. and reach out to Stirling and hit him up and his programs. And with that, dude, again, thank you so much for being on here.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. It's been another exciting episode of the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will catch you all next time.